all, Mr. Rogers doesn't have any confidential information in his pre-filed direct testimony, correct?
That is correct. Public version only.
Right. Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Rogers.
Good morning.
Can you please state your name, position of employment, and business address?
Sure. My name is Stephen Rogers. I am the Senior Vice President for Financial Management at the Dominion Generation Business Unit. My business address is 120 Tredegar Street, Richmond, Virginia, 23219.
You have with you this morning a document entitled The Direct Testimony of Stephen A. Rogers, consisting of 14 typed pages of question and answers, and an Appendix A that was filed as a public version only in this proceeding on January 20th, 2015.
Yes, I do.
Was that document prepared by you under your supervision?
Yes, it was.
Do you have any corrections or additions to that document?
No.
And if you were asked those questions appearing there, would you provide the same answers today?
Yes, I would.
And you wish to sponsor that as your direct testimony in this proceeding?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd ask that that document be marked for identification.
Absolutely. Mr. Rogers' direct pre-filed testimony will be marked as Exhibit 4 and admitted into the record subject to cross-examination.
And with that, the witness is available for cross-examination.
All right.
No questions, Mr. Rogers.
All right. Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Mr. Rogers. I'd like to start with your testimony on page 5. Actually, I left my copy of it. On line 9 and 10, you state that the project represents a prudent and important step toward proactively mitigating the risks associated with impending environmental regulations. Is that right?
Yes.
And on that point, you're referring to EPA's currently proposed Clean Power Plan rule. Is that right?
Yes, primarily yes.
All right. And in addition, you go on in the next couple of lines there to state that the proposed development and construction timeline strategically places the project into service by the end of 2016, which allows the facility to qualify for 30% federal solar ITCs. Is that right?
Yes.
And it's your understanding that there's the 30% tax credit if the project's completed by the end of 2016, but that if a project drifts into 2017, it's only eligible for 10% tax credit. Is that right?
Yes.
I'd like to ask you just a couple of questions about how those two pieces interrelate, the pending environmental regulations and the 30% federal investment tax credit. On the Clean Power Plan side of it, you testify, I think it's on page 8, I'm sorry, it's on earlier testimony that this is an emissions-free renewable generation resource that's an essential component of the company's strategy to prepare for the future Clean Power Plan. Is that right?
Yes.
All right. And yet, on page 8, you note that the company has in excess of 17,500 megawatts of generation in your regulated portfolio, right?
That is correct.
So 20 megawatts here, while an essential component of the company's compliance strategy for the Clean Power Plan, you would agree that's a pretty small piece of the company's overall portfolio, wouldn't you?
Yes, I would. I would agree it's a small piece of our overall portfolio.
It's about 20 megawatts works out to about 1/10 of 1% of the 70,500. Is that right?
I haven't computed it, but I will agree with your calculation.
And this 20 megawatt project, is this the only solar project the company has identified that it can complete in time to qualify for the 30% ITC?
It's the only specific project that we have in plans right now.
The company hasn't identified any additional solar projects, whether self-build or acquisition, that could be placed into service by the end of 2016. Is that right?
We have, as we have indicated publicly, and some people referred to earlier today, we have developed a plan to put 400 megawatts of solar into service by 2020. We are working that plan, developing how we're going to approach that, and including this 20 megawatts. Right now, that plan includes approximately 100 megawatts in 2016.
Can you say that again? How many megawatts in 2016?
It's approximately 100 megawatts in 2016.
All right, well then I have a question about an interrogatory response. While the Philip is passing this out, I'll note for the record this is the company's response to environmental respondents interrogatory second set, question number 13. And while it's being passed out, I'd like to have the document marked as well.
The environmental respondents' second set of interrogatories, question number 13, question and response from the company, will be marked as Exhibit 5 and admitted into the record, subject to further examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. In this interrogatory, environmental respondents asked the company about additional projects that could be completed in time to qualify for the 30% federal solar investment tax credit. Can you read for me the company's response to this question?
Sure. It says, at this time, the company has not identified additional solar projects will be placed in service by the end of 2016. However, the evaluation of potential self-bid projects and potential acquisitions is ongoing.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
All right. Mr. Reisinger?
Your Honor, I believe Mr. Burton has some questions.
Oh, all right. Mr. Burton.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Rogers, while Mr. Burton is getting the equipment turned on and set up, have you mentioned 100 megawatts that you expect to come online before the end of 2016. At the time of this interrogatory, you had not identified those. Have you at this point in time identified how you're going to acquire those 100 megawatts? Are you planning on going out with an RFP or?
We plan on, our plans for development they are plans right now. And so we have not identified specific projects or sites. As we move forward through that plan, we do expect that we will issue an RFP to determine what assets or what types of sites and what types of arrangements are available out in the community or in the market.
Thank you. Mr. Burton.
Good morning, Mr. Rogers.
Good morning.
My name is Mitch Burton. I'm with Attorney General's Office, Division of Consumer Counsel. A couple questions for you this morning. Mr. Rogers, your title is Senior Vice President, Financial Management for Dominion Generation. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And Mr. Rogers, are you the most senior employee of Dominion testifying here today?
I believe that's true, yes.
You are the lead witness?
Yes, I am the lead witness.
Mr. Rogers, could I please direct you to page 3 of your direct testimony? Frame my questions here. Mr. Rogers, your testimony in this case covers the company's support for why the Remington solar facility is needed at this time. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Here on page 3, you were asked the question of why is the company proposing this particular project for commission approval? And I would direct you down to line 14 through 17. You state that the project is an essential component of the company's strategy to assist Virginia in complying with stringent environmental regulations on the horizon. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Those stringent environmental regulations on the horizon, are you referring to EPA's proposed Clean Power Plan?
Yes, I am.
And in the same vein, Mr. Rogers, on page 5, Mr. Jaffe just went over with you. The company believes this project is a prudent and important step toward mitigating the risks associated with the Clean Power Plan. Is that correct?
Well, I say impending environmental regulations, but yes. Using your analogy, yes.
So, and you make other references to the Clean Power Plan throughout your direct testimony. Is that correct?
Yes, I do.
So, Mr. Rogers, to sum this testimony up, would you agree it's fair to say that the proposed Clean Power Plan seems to be a driver for the company's request to construct and as a result to recover the costs of the Remington solar facility?
I would phrase it this way. I think the proposed Clean Power Plan is a component of the reason why this is a good project, amongst other things. It's a net present value for customers. We have a need that's been demonstrated in our IRPs for this generation and this capacity, and preparing for the Clean Power Plan is also a factor, amongst other factors that have been laid out in various testimonies.
But the Remington solar project is an essential component of the company's strategy to assist Virginia with complying with the Clean Power Plan. Is that correct?
It is an essential step in us assisting Virginia in comply, yes.
Next, Mr. Rogers, could I please direct you to page 4 of your testimony? And just want to establish that on page 4 and going over onto page 5, you do discuss the company's proposal to recover the costs of the Remington solar project through a subsection A6 rack, which has been designated as Rider US 1. Is that correct?
Yes.
Mr. Rogers, I would like to establish an understanding with you of the difference between recovering costs through a subsection A6 rate adjustment clause versus recovering costs through base rates generally. Is it your understanding that a rate adjustment clause would permit the company to recover the Remington facility costs outside of, or in other words, in addition to, base rates?
Yes.
So is it also your understanding that this means that rate adjustment clause or rack recovery would increase customer rates outside and irrespective to whatever base rates may be?
Yes.
Mr. Rogers, are you aware that the Commission has recently raised questions regarding how the company will recover costs associated with Clean Power Plan compliance?
I am aware, yes.
Mr. Rogers, I'm going to place on the screen here the Commission's final order in case number PUE 2014-00071. This final order was issued in the company's most recent petition for rate adjustment clauses related to demand-side management programs that the company had requested approval for a period of 5 years. What I have placed on the screen here for you is pages 6 and 7 of the Commission's final order. I'll give you some time to review the highlighted language before I ask you questions.
Okay.
So from this, I think we can gather that the DVP DSM order